Coming up, still getting your Social Security check by mail? That will change come March 1st, 2013. We'll have details. And if you're 50 years old or better, you just might find the help you need filing your 2011 tax returns at no cost to you. Human Services Forum begins now. Hello and welcome to the Forum. By March 1st, 2013, everyone who receives federal benefits by paper check will need to switch to electronic payments by direct deposit to a bank or credit union account or to the Direct Express Debit MasterCard card. And Taprika Morgan is joining us from the U.S. Treasury Department to fill us in on the details of this campaign called Go Direct, and we still have almost a year. We're reaching that year till it happens mark.
Yes, we do, and thank you so much for having me. Yes. We have about a year, so March 1st, 2013 is when all federal benefit payments must be received by either direct deposit or to the Direct Express card, as you mentioned. Okay. And so the people that we are targeting and those that we are reaching out to are individuals who may receive benefits from Social Security, including supplemental security income or SSI, benefits from Veterans Affairs, the Department of Labor Black Lung, Railroad Retirement Board, and from the Office of Personnel Management.
Okay, that's quite a variety.
It is.
And that covers a lot of people.
It does, and it covers all types of individuals, different age ranges, all different types of demographics. So it's very important that they understand what they need to do to take action before that March 1st, 2013 deadline.
Okay, I know this has been promoted for a few months now, but you're really it's starting to gain steam, and you're really going to be out there letting people know. So if they hear that they have to do this electronically, what does that mean, and how do they? What are the circumstances under which this is going to happen? I mean, you know, we have people that may have bank accounts, may not.
All right, well, you're absolutely right there. Campaign is definitely in high gear now since we are at the countdown mark. And so what we're doing is reaching out to these individuals through various means, including they'll be getting inserts in all of their check payments starting next month, actually, instructing them on what to do to sign up. And if they have a bank account, they can just have several pieces of information with them that includes their Social Security number or claims number, the amount of their last benefit check, as well as their 12-digit federal benefit check number to sign up. They may need to get some information from their bank that would include their bank's routing or transit number, their account number, as well as their account type, whether it's a checking or savings account. Now, if they choose to receive the Direct Express prepaid debit card, then they would need to have those first pieces of information, and we would be able to help them sign up. We have a 1-800 number that they can call to sign up. That's 1-800-333-1795. Or they could also sign up electronically at www.godirect.org.
Okay, and that's up on the screen for folks who want to jot that down. Again, March 1st, 2013 is when you have to have this done. And for some, that might seem like a scary proposition, but it is. It's going to really make a difference in a lot of ways. What are some of the things this is supposed to help or improve?
Well, we know that electronic payments, including direct deposit, are safer and easier and more convenient for federal benefit recipients. They don't have to worry about a check being lost or stolen. If they live in an area that may have different types of severe weather, which in that case that's almost everywhere, from snow to hurricanes to tornadoes, they don't have to worry about that check not being able to be delivered due to that severe weather. It goes directly into their bank account or to their prepaid card account every month on time.
All right. And prepaid cards, for those who may know about them or may not know enough about them, what does that provide?
Well, it also provides a huge amount of safety. The Direct Express card was introduced in 2008, and the Treasury Department, including my office, was very instrumental in bringing that card to the marketplace and making sure that it was very fee-friendly and could be used at no or low cost for individuals. With that card, you don't have to have a bank account, no credit check is required, and you still are able to take advantage of all of the benefits of an electronic payment.
Okay, so that card will speak for itself when it is being used by the person it belongs to.
It does.
So that is, do you have a lot of takers for direct debit cards?
We do. We have nearly 3 million people using that card right now in just over 3 years when it was introduced in 2008. So it has been a very successful program that we're really proud of, and it's a great way to help those who don't have a bank account.
Well, I imagine if you've got 3 million people, and this must be nationwide, I would presume,
Yes.
There are a lot more people that are going to be choosing that or just direct deposit in the future. Has the Treasury Department come up with a general idea of who those people might be?
Absolutely, and I do want to say that about 9 in 10 benefit recipients are already getting electronic payments, so that's about 90%. But we do have that 10% that hasn't had an opportunity to sign up just yet, and we're encouraging them to do that as soon as possible. They don't need to wait until March 1st, 2013. They can do it now.
Okay, by calling the number that's on the screen again. It's an 800 number. It's toll free. You can speak to somebody about what is involved in making that happen, and they will help you. That's not going to be a problem. They're going to help you. And if you do have internet access or you really like going that route, GoDirect.org is the place to go. And there is a lot of information online regarding this Direct Express and GoDirect campaign. So I don't think you're going to have too much trouble understanding exactly how it works. The idea of having to eliminate that step in between is very attractive, clearly, to a lot of people, although there are some that may just have a little bit of an issue with the idea of not ever seeing that money.
That is true, but they will have that money in their account. And we find that usually when there is an issue with a payment, it's with the paper check payment versus an electronic payment or direct deposit. And so that's a huge benefit there. But also it saves all of us money. If we convert all of these payments by March 1st, 2013, it will save American taxpayers about $1 billion over 10 years. So that's a large amount of money that could be saved and used in other areas.
Yeah, well, $1 billion, that'll sell it right there.
Right.
Well, the idea of having these federal benefits checks put into your account is, does that include, say, your tax refunds, which is all the rage right now, is having a tax refund?
Yes. Well, tax refunds are not included in this particular regulation, but we highly encourage direct deposit for tax returns. You definitely get your money a lot faster, and the same benefits apply. You don't have to worry about a check being lost or stolen. The money will be there, and we've seen that if someone uses e-file as well as receiving direct deposit, they can get their refund in about 10 days. So that's a lot faster than having to file a paper return and then wait for a paper check to reach your mailbox.
Oh, that is good. And you know it's going from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
And that's always reassuring because people want to know that their money is safe.
Right.
So if you want to leave folks with anything, a message or encouragement, please do right now. We're going to
Well, I want to definitely encourage people to call our 1-800 number, 1-800-333-1795, or go online to www.godirect.org. You can find a vast amount of information about the regulation and what you need to have on hand to sign up. And also it will give you more of a feel for what this regulation means and the benefits that you'll gain from signing up for direct deposit today.
All right. Tafrika Morgan, thanks for joining us and coming down to Norfolk, Virginia.
Absolutely.
To share this news. So thanks.
Thank you.
Well, are you filing your income taxes and you find it kind of taxing your patience and your skills? I had to say that. I'm sorry, folks. Free tax preparation for seniors and others can help. Meet some of the people who make it possible when we come back.
Have you heard? The U.S. Treasury is phasing out paper checks for Social Security, VA, and other federal benefit payments and going electronic. If you currently receive federal benefits by paper check, you will need to switch to direct deposit or to the Treasury recommended Direct Express Debit MasterCard. If you plan to apply for federal benefits soon, you'll want to decide which electronic payment option is right for you. Visit godirect.org to learn more or to make the switch today.
Some people just love preparing tax returns, their own and others. And then there are folks who would rather not or feel intimidated by the mere prospect of looking at a federal or state return. Now, if you are 50 years old or better, in fact, if you're any old age and you have to pay taxes, you may want to take advantage of a free service that just keeps getting bigger and better every year. And it is called AARP Tax Aid. There are a lot of different names for it. Sharon Gares is with the Partnership and Communications Specialist with AARP Tax Aid. Ron Jesberg is with the Virginia Beach Central Library location for the tax site, and quite a distinctive one, I might add. You'll be interested to hear about it. We also have Tucker Newland, who's a volunteer training coordinator for Virginia Tax Aid's Peninsula District. So they're all really dedicated to making sure that this kind of service gets to you. They all play different roles, but you know, the goal is the same, and that is to help people who really don't have a lot of extra money to spend to have somebody else do it for them. So this is a free service. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We have Tax Aid's been in existence for over 42 years.
Wow.
We have over 35,000 volunteers and over 6,000 sites across the United States. Great. And need to congratulate Ron because he has the second largest site in the United States.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and we're all volunteer. We're funded by the IRS. We're run on a grant. We're part of the AARP Foundation, not the AARP regular program. So we are totally grant funded, all volunteers, and all our services are free.
Can't beat that.
No.
We do have, yeah, there are free tax services around, and you know, certainly I've talked plenty about the one that I've been involved with, and this is yet another group that is providing a really, really great service. And I think just by the mere fact that it's been around for 40+ years is a pretty good testament to something that works and is something that people really, really desire. So, Mr. Jesberg, you have a very notable site, is second largest in the country, and I didn't know that. I knew that there was a site at the Central Library in Virginia Beach, as there is one in Norfolk too, but I had no idea that it was as large as it is. How many people, how many computers do you have running for the taxpayers when they come in to get their taxes?
Our site has 15 computers set up, and we set them up. We have 9 preparers and 5 quality reviewers and a shift manager on all the shifts, and we have 14 shifts a week, so we're open 6 days a week.
Wow, that's a lot of volunteers.
It's a lot of volunteers, and we have volunteer receptionists also, so it's a big operation, but it's very worthwhile. We do about 100 returns a day.
Okay, and that's just at one site?
At one site.
My gosh. So during the season, do you have an average number that you might...
we do just close to 5,000. We're hoping to go over 5,000 this year.
Wow. That is amazing.
It's a big operation, but everybody's volunteers, and we're all really happy to do it. And there's nothing like getting a hug from an 85-year-old and saying thank you when you get your taxes done.
That's right. Why not? And the people that are volunteering, do they come back year after year?
They do, year after year. We lose a percentage due to health and moving and for various personal reasons, but generally we're able to gain more volunteers than we lose each year, which is a good thing.
Well, that's wonderful.
We recruit year-round.
Okay. So people are always hearing about it.
Yes. We get a lot just from the people we're preparing. Some of them come in with a tax already done, and when they bring those papers in, we sort of know, wouldn't you like to be one of us next year? And it's a good way to recruit. And we get a lot of word of mouth for getting recruits.
Oh, that's great.
And the Beacon, which is the Virginia Beach insert, puts an ad in for us pretty regularly. So
that's wonderful. So you're getting a lot of support from
Yes.
a lot of different places,
Yes.
well, including the taxpayers who come in, and I'm sure you have
Exactly.
people that come in year after year as well.
take them back year after year.
Yeah. Well, that can be a great savings.
Yeah, free is a nice thing.
A very nice thing. So with average tax returns being prepared by maybe a company would be $300, $300,
Right.
maybe more.
Last year we figured in Virginia we saved the taxpayers over $3.3 million.
Okay.
And if you just an average preparation fee of like $150. So.
Yeah. That's amazing. When you put it all together, you can see the impact that it makes. And but you know, even the $150 for one individual, or one head of household with children or you know, dependents is just huge. So it's nice to be part of a movement that really benefits the community. Tucker, you are involved, of course, in getting these volunteers up to snuff, and that in itself is a lot of work.
It's a very intense period in the December-January timeframe, especially for the new folks who go to class. In our district, they go to class 6 days, 6 full days, and have homework to do and a big test to pass at the end. And we tell them that that's the toughest part of the training or the toughest part of preparing taxes is the training, because the actual shifts, which average in our district 2 per week, 2 4-hour shifts per week, is a breeze and has lots of positive feedback. But if they can make it through the training and enjoy it, then they're on their way.
Right. Well, I know that people who want to volunteer often have an idealized, you know, concept of what it is they're going to be doing, and maybe they like to do that. They like to work with numbers, or maybe, you know, but it can be rather daunting when you're first in there looking at what it is that you have to absorb or learn. And of course, there are the tests along the way and certifications.
Right. That's the biggest thing at the end. But it's an open book test, and they have had lots of immediate training. You don't have to be particularly mathematically inclined. I think that the talent is more an attention to detail and the desire to help people. But it's if you can pay attention to detail and learn rules, and if you've done it before, you've done your own before, you probably have decided whether you enjoy the process or not.
Yeah, there's a pretty good way to determine whether you do or not. On the screen we have a number for Tidewater Tax Aid, also the Peninsula numbers, and a website, createthegood.org, to give you. And so if you wanted to check out more about being a volunteer or finding out more about this particular not site, but organization, and the sites that are available throughout the peninsula and as far north as Gloucester and Southside Hampton Roads, they'd be happy to tell you. So are you still training people, or is this sort of like your period of rest? Do I dare say that?
Well, it's the trainer's period of rest. I am a preparer as well.
Oh, are you? Oh, you don't stop.
Yes, I don't stop. But this is free sailing now. But we don't open our sites until the 1st of February. So I think that's true of us nationwide. So January, once January is over, the training is over, and you're certified or you're not. So.
I think anybody can answer this question. We talk about people 50 plus, and you must get your share of people, but who you will accept does not restrict itself to just one particular age group, although AARP certainly has
most of our funding comes from the IRS.
Okay.
We are grant funded, and our grant is for a special emphasis on 60 and older, and moderate or low income. So where the VITA group will stick mostly with low income, the IRS actually pays us to do the moderate income, and we do not turn anybody away. We do everybody. So it's just an emphasis on the older, but we do a lot of young people, and we turn out an exorbitant amount into the economy of earned income tax credit, child tax credit, educational credits. It's millions of dollars just in the local economy. So it's a wonderful tax service, and we'll never, turn anybody away. We'll do. The only things that we can't do are very complicated forms, and especially this year where the IRS decided that the transactions on stocks and everything had to be individually done. We've put limits at most of the sites, how many we'll do, and that's based on your district coordinator. Okay. So other than that, I mean, we do stock transactions and quite a few other things that most people won't do, and it's free. And even though we think people make a lot of money, sometimes they're laid off. And maybe last year they made a lot of money, but this year they don't have the money. you know, to pay for someone. So we try to be just as, you know, nice as we can. We have a list of items that we can do and that we can't do. But everybody's prepared to do it. And if you don't know it, you go to someone that does and they help you. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and there's a lot of knowledge in all the sites.
And a lot of experience, too.
There's a lot of experience.
Yeah.
One of the things that's really nice is that we actually two people look at your return. So if you come in, one person prepares it, and the second one quality reviews it, and then we electronically file it. So when you walk out, you're complete, and all you have to do is wait for your refund or send them a check if you owe them money. So
So you file it right there while they
we
wait.
file it right while they're sitting there.
Do you find out fairly quickly
We know within
when it's gone through, or
We
when
know
the
within
item
2 or 3 hours if it's been accepted or not.
Okay, great. That's definitely been speeded up, I think.
And you get
Every time.
they get their
Oh,
refund back in normally 7 to 10 days, so it's really quick.
Great. And well, the fact that we have so many people coming in the door must mean that you're in great demand.
We are.
And it's grown?
If I were to say there's a disadvantage, it would be that sometimes there are long waits. But the vast majority of our taxpayers are, in fact, retired, so
They are able to.
and they have parties in our waiting room. So.
Parties.
Well, that's the advantage of the library also, because they can walk around and look at the books.
Yeah, there's something
spend
else to
time.
do.
And we let people go away. They don't have to sit there for the whole time they're waiting. They can go away, have lunch, or come back.
Do they make appointments at this
We
site?
don't make appointments. We or first come, first served, but we take their names on a list, and that list stays in order, and you can leave and come back in a certain time. We
I'm
tell
sure
you what time
you
to come
bet your
back.
bottom dollar they come back.
Yes.
And that's nice, though, that you save their place.
It's a really nice service.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll see you in maybe next week. So they give, do they go online or call the numbers that we've been providing and they'll set you up, or do you go there and get just show up and Monday
Well,
through Saturday?
as Tucker mentioned, there is a wait. And at the Central Library, the library doesn't open until 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And we have people lining up at 8:30 to be first in line.
Yeah.
And even on a cold, rainy day, there are people lined up at 8:30 standing in the cold rain, and that's unfortunate. We do send them back to their cars to fill out their intake sheets while they're waiting.
Yeah.
But and we keep them in the order that they're there. We keep a list and take those lists inside. We sometimes have to shut our list down because we know how many we can do a day, and so we cut it off. And of course, some people don't like that, but we draw a line and say we don't guarantee below this line, but if you want to take a chance, we'll put you on the list.
Yeah.
In our district, in any case, there's a big push after the 1st of February for the people who know they're getting refunds and have all their documents, and then there's a push for the procrastinators the first 2 weeks of April, and those folks who owe money, who think that they can't file until they're ready to pay it. But the month of March tends to be a more steady, at least in our district, a more steady stream, and is a better time to come for if you are looking for a shorter wait.
Right, somewhere in between the first, second week of March, you can really
That's a
slow
wonderful
down. Which, if I say that, oh, well, that's a good time to go, then it won't be a slow time anymore.
Right.
But, you know, there are some windows of opportunity there where the wait may not be as long. But it is a free service, and that's, of course, what people have to remember. You know, it doesn't, you know, it's free, but you can only do but so much when you have a lot of people who want that service, and a lot of people do. And, well, as you mentioned, with the economy, you know, it's easy to see that people will probably be more interested in hearing about it, and they will listen and hear it, recognize it. It jumps out at them because they're not having to pay something, because they may have been laid off even the tax year that they're filing for.
That's true.
And didn't anticipate it was going to happen, or whether that's the case or not.
Exactly.
It did, and so they find themselves in a very difficult position.
And if you go to the websites, it's usually listed on there whether it's by appointment or a walk-in.
Okay.
So if the taxpayer would go and check that out. And also, we could do more if we had more volunteers. So if anybody would like to do anything, including just a welcomer, or if someone speaks multiple languages, we have a shortage in that, and we would gladly accept them and set them up. We start pushing volunteer recruitment during the year. Ron recruits everybody, and then actively in July, we really start campaigning to get people and get their names so we can find out how many training,
Yeah.
sets of books and everything else we need.
Or do you do that kind of recruitment at the site itself, or do you do it through various other means?
The library has our numbers, so they can call us. If somebody comes in and says, I'd like to volunteer, the library has our numbers.
Okay.
And we have our website up all the time, and they have my phone number all the time.
Okay.
And like I mentioned, the Beacon puts ads in for us, and that really helps. We get a lot of calls off that.
Oh,
So.
great, great.
Yeah, and if anybody goes to the AARP website, just the regular AARP website, and clicks on they want to volunteer, the first thing that comes up is TaxAid, and it'll give you a lot of information about all the positions,
I
too.
just got it wrapped up, I tell you. So for you, the recruitment starts basically around July for new volunteers, or even to ask the former volunteers if they want to return. And for you, you're just, you're part of recruiting too?
Well, everyone is
You do
part of
everything.
recruiting
Yes.
Yeah.
to some degree, but the materials, the training materials don't really arrive until the end of November. And so we get them ready to suit our purposes and begin to teach. Now our training takes place in January. Down in the South Side, they do it in November and October, December. So it varies for us. But
Well, great.
we don't have a website on the peninsula yet, but that is a priority for us to develop.
Okay.
For the coming year after the season's over.
All right. Well, good. Then, that I'm sure will be part of what they see when they go on the website that is now current, maybe to direct them. Maybe?
I don't know.
Well, we can only hope, but at least this is one opportunity to say something about it. So,
Yeah, and if
Peninsula
you
and
go to
Southside
the AARP website and you put in your zip code, it'll tell you what's the closest location to you, too.
Great.
So.
We have run out of time, but they still need volunteers, I'm sure, so please give them a call. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Bye.